And it is on, ladies and jellyfish. Much love and respect out there in YouTube world. Brother Chris is joining me for another live weave tonight, and we have so much to share. I'm super stoked for this one.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, man. Also, there is a looming promise in the wind that we might have an appearance from our brother George Mesa from Third Eye Edify. He is kind of on a tentative we'll see basis. And so he might and he might not jump in. And even if he doesn't make it tonight, I am really enthusiastic to hear feedback from him as he's working on a project right now regarding the music history with a particular focus on Wagner. And I have a sense that some of what I'm going to be brushing over is going to be coterminal to George's work. And so it'll be cool if he can join us and actually, lend his trained ear to some of what we're hoping to de-occult over time. And also, big love and respect to Emily Moyer. I can't express enough gratitude. That episode that you and I did with her about a week or so back is in the wings still. It's like a time capsule that's going to release any day now.
Yeah, it'll be soon.
Yeah. And a lot of what we talked about in that show with Emily has glitch factor.
Oh, wow. All of us did.
There we go. All right. So yeah, a lot of the discussion with Emily has kind of planted seeds that are germinating tonight. And I'm looking forward also to Emily watching this show and getting back to me on how some of this reverberates out of her reality tunnel. It's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun.
Absolutely. I'm excited to. I'm excited to actually really excited to see the show we did with her. I know I don't usually watch any of the stuff that I do with anyone, but that should be a good one. Once in a while I check it out. That should be good.
Yeah. I love using the term brain babies. It's such a fun word. Like, when we have a meeting of the minds, these concepts kind of commingle and fertilize one another, and then they germinate later into larger and larger thought forms. And a lot of what was laid out with Emily on her show is informing what I'm hoping to share tonight. So she said she's traveling and she'll probably listen to our show as she's coming home. So big love, Emily. Drive safe, drive well.
And by saying I don't usually watch the shows, it's not because I don't think they're all great. I just hate looking at myself. So that's why. That's why.
Yeah. I used to absolutely loathe my own voice.
Me too. Same.
Oh, yeah.
Still do. Often.
I really had to get over that. And it's only improved slightly in that I have better audio equipment now. So, and I sound less like I'm in a tunnel, only slightly.
No, you have a very, very good speaking voice. Don't fret over that. Mine's like all over the place. Sometimes I project, sometimes I don't. So it's like, I've just learned to live with the nightmare at this point.
Totally.
What's up, Ronan?
Big
what's up, Zaralab?
Ronan in the house. Big love, champion. Man, there is so much to talk about, but big love, Z. There's so much to talk about, but I just want to kind of batten the hatches and get right into bringing people up to speed. So what I've done for this episode is I've kind of performed a bit of a scavenger. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you hear that?
Just slightly.
To stop?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're good. If it starts again, I think it's outside. I'll shut the window.
Okay, cool. So yeah, what I've done and what I'm hoping to convey in this little project is I've done kind of a scavenger hunt on some of my previous research going way back in time. And I want to bring a ton of my own Easter eggs of discovery and present them in a in a coherent fashion all at once, to just kind of bring a lot of thought forms from going way back. It might have been 2 years ago when Chance and I were doing a project that we called the Marvelous Demystifiers. And that was some real fun. And I think we might have just barely been in lockdowns or coming out of the lockdowns in that time frame. And we were doing deep de-occulting analysis on a lot of the Marvel series. And I've heard people, a lot of people kind of poo-poo on Marvel, and they consider it the things of children, and they're not wrong. But I think just to convey what compelled me into the project was that I find it very important to reverse engineer the military industrial complexes insemination protocols. And that was my goal, was to de-occult what they're putting into people's subliminal and their unconscious and their subconscious, and bring it out into the light and present it, because I speak from experience that most of the culture I grew up with as a child was really designed to steer people into the draft, to banalize the draft. And some of the evidence of this is Toys R Us. Who is the main icon of Toys R Us? It's Giraffe, the giraffe, and he's on the ark. He's on a boat with all the other animals. And if you think about the narrative of Noah's Ark, all the animals are jumping on board 2 by 2 because of an emergency. They're in an emergency, and the animals are obedient. And so the idea of the draft and the protocols for Noah's Ark, I think, are just important to recontextualize for the generations going forward. So while Marvel is the thing of children, they are embedding just deep occult triggers that we see unpack into headlines that the adults take very seriously. So while
You know what I find interesting about the whole Marvel thing is Jack Parsons. I wasn't aware until quite recently that his actual name was Marvel, and it wasn't a name he used, but he predates the naming of Marvel the comic.
Yes.
I wonder how much that he influenced the naming of that company.
Big
Just
time.
saying. I mean, that's just strange,
It is super fascinating. And I think one thing about looking back, like a lot of these narratives from Marvel were written so long ago, it takes on a deeply prophetic value to see how it's like they were anticipating where we would be today. And I think the framework that they built those prophetic stories out of so long ago is because they know how empires collapse. You know what I mean? They can,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's like it's almost like they use things like you would find in the Odyssey, and you would find throughout myths like that, and or the Bible even, and reconstruct it and put it into superhero form.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because it's innocent, because it's the thing of children, people they overlook it. And a term that I'm really cogitating on right now is, I believe that a lot of what this Inception protocol programming is really all about. I'm actually averse to using predictive programming. I think that's kind of a weak, played out term, so I want better words. And another phrase that I'm really contemplating right now is that they are prejudicing our discernment. I think that these are just, synonyms for predictive programming, but I just love turning over these words and looking at it in a new light. And so, yeah, prejudicing our discernment, giving us a prejudgment before we get a chance to decide on things. And then the Dow Jones can come and monopolize on our response.
Exactly, and I'm gonna go shut this window really fast because I won't be able to speak with them on the phone. Hold on.
Right on, right on. Yeah, man. Yeah. Big love, everybody. Big love. Kabir is here. Good evening, Kabir, my friend. Man, Kabir, I miss our poetry jams with Rachel. We used to do poetry night with Rachel. We've had some fun.
I don't know who the heck that was. There was like they were like walking just back and forth, like all the way up and down a huge driveway over there. And just once in a while, would pass by the window.
They're trying to influence you.
Yeah. So that's how they do it, you know. Just send someone just to annoy just enough to tear the conversation.
Totally. All right, so I'm going to do a lot of screen sharing tonight, and I hope everybody has the patience to
I'm
bear with me.
excited for this because I know you don't like the screen share, but I don't either. But I think it's a good thing. You're going to be able to, I think, rock with it.
Yeah, man, I got to dial in my kung fu, take things to the next level. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say fair use every time I play a video, like Emily does in on her
Emily
channel.
and Danny do it. Like Danny does it like every single time, but
Every time.
I don't think you necessarily have to, but to be safe, maybe the first time you're doing it on a live
Yeah.
stream, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, let me just say this now. Fair use times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fair
Yes,
use times 5.
we are going to incite the doctrine of fair use because we are going to be using videos made by other people, but for learning purposes and teaching purposes.
Cheers. Cheers. That's what's up. So I shared a link earlier in the chat. It's a link to the Marvelous Demystifiers on Chance's channel that we did so long ago. And it's almost 3+ hours of picking out every single symbol and doing gematria. And it's amazing. I think of movies as a hyper sigil. And even after 3.5 hours, that was actually only 1/3 of the movie, was 3.5 hours of us unpacking the hyper sigil. And we still didn't get to the bottom of it. You know what I mean? And I've said in the demystifiers, you know, if a picture says 1,000 words, imagine what 2 hours of moving pictures says, you know? And so the 10,000 words times every single frame, I mean, come on, we could dig and dig and dig.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Steiner talked about that, right? Because moving pictures, I think he mentioned them. He referred to them as moving pictures during his time, but it was just starting to become like a thing, like be known about, like that people were at least starting to develop things, even though this is probably a much older technology, in my opinion, that was either refound or recreated or reused or just put away for a while and brought back. But either way, he warned about it because
Right.
he knew what it would become.
Yep. Yep. And in that concept of, if a picture says 1,000 words, moving picture says 10,000 times every moment of the film, that really lends to my other shtick about don't underestimate your enemy. You know what I mean? Like, you have to just really keep your psychic defenses dialed to 1,000. I'm trying to be more Epicurean on what films I choose to watch. And just last night, I watched The Batman, and I got done, and my brain was swolled up with ideas. I mean, just swolled up with ideas because of my demystifying history. And sure enough, just as the credits start to roll, and I'm like kind of processing what I've just onboarded, a huge storm comes on. And I heard this thunder that rattled for like probably 40 seconds. It was intense. I actually had to get up and go look outside and make sure there wasn't a mushroom cloud on the horizon because this thunder was intense. And it just really matched my mental space, my psychic space after watching that film. But and maybe we should do a Batman episode somewhere down the line, but we're going to focus on Doctor Strange here.
We'll have a lot, I'm sure, if we do that. Because, like I said, I was really, I did a lot of weaves with, I think, Silas and a few other people earlier in like 2020, 2021. on The Dark Knight, because I'm a Nolan. I guess I like Nolan's movies, but there's a lot of symbolism in it that plays out in real life. I mean,
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to try to frame up this stream of consciousness in the most productive manner. And I think what I should start with is just kind of bringing some of the cliff notes from the Demystifier program. And I'm kind of showing off too, because this is my, like, one of the greatest epiphany moments that I had so long ago. But it's at the end of our stream and everybody is exhausted. Like Gordy ends up, he's like, come on, get to the end, get to the end. I got to go to bed, bro. And I'm like, no, this is the best part. And it's totally at the end. And so the whole thing was kind of choppy, and I just want to repackage it and serve it up one more time. And so this is specifically Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that was released on Mother's Day, and it's totally targeting the divine feminine. The entire film, and the fact that they released it on Mother's Day week, somewhere real close to Mother's Day, they just want the divine feminine to go hysterical, and they're portraying the hysterical history of the divine feminine in that film, and it's more nefarious than I think even I can put words to. So at the end of the demystifying episode, we get to the scene where Doctor Strange is captured in this parallel reality, and he and America Chavez are put inside of cages. And right there is a trigger for the deportation centers, right? Because America Chavez is kind of a cognitive dissonance name, so to say, because she is an immigrant from other realities. And that she can't get back to her reality, and she's jumping through realities, and she's learning the cultural norms of different realities. It's totally an immigration metaphor. And so they're in these cages, and I'll get to some of that scenery, but then Doctor Strange gets summoned in front of the tribunal of the Illuminati. And as soon as that comes up in the movie, I remember everybody was like, off switch. This is silly. Silliness inside of silliness. There's not much to see here.
oh, see, wait, I didn't see. So this is Doctor Strange the second. I didn't see the second one because I'm like, if I would have seen that, I would have been like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Because they didn't have that in the first one.
Yes. And I want to shine light on the fact that I think the lamer something is, the more subliminal it becomes. If it's super lame and you just smack your face and you almost feel like you're a dumbass for even watching, you do all the legwork for them and you bury it deeper in your subconscious. And
100%.
so, and when I see things that are lame, I realize that this is because I've studied Hephaestus, Erichthonius, Vulcan, Malciber. He was the lame charioteer. And when he was born up in Olympus, the gods around him had a very distinct response to laying their eyes upon him. When they gave their eyes to him and saw this malformed legs, some people say serpent legs, when they saw that, all of the gods recoiled and they didn't want to look. In some of the paintings, he's actually being tipped out of his basket and thrown away. And that's probably hailing back to the time when, if a child was malformed, born with a deformity, that they would sacrifice it to Moloch. And
Well, and he become because I remember him actually from an episode, the first episode actually, me and Emily did on the periodic table. He's the god of hydrogen, which is interesting because he's also a metallurgist, right? And he's an inventor, and he like invents what is it that in the myth, he invents that kind of robotic thing that protects the island. With what island is it again? Is it Crete? It's not Crete. It's
I think it's Talos is the
Talos, yeah.
And I think it's the island of either Manos.
In your that's it. That's
okay.
it. Yeah.
Yep. And so Talos is a big mech bot. He's fueled by ichor, the blood of the gods is the fuel that runs through his blood, and he is the big brother He's the big brother. He's also the Deus Ex Machina. He's the machine that is descended to resolve things unreasonably. But he's also the big brother to Pandora, and Pandora is the sex bot. She's the
Yeah.
Dolly Parton. She's
Yeah.
Dolly Parton from the myths.
And some of the myths, the Hephaestus, doesn't he have like he's missing a hand, right? Often, or a crippled hand.
So sometimes, well, that's probably an exaggeration of his epithet. They call him the strong-armed one, but he's because his legs are lame. They're not talking about his legs. They're saying he's strong-armed, which deductively tells you his legs are weak. But he's also, one of his other names is ambidexter, which means both-handed.
Okay.
But they're probably kind of playing on that. Epithets work like that.
I'm sure it's also the hidden hand type of motif, so I'm sure they chopped off his hand and a bunch of the statues of him and stuff like that. So it would be like symbolic of that.
Yes.
And no one would know what it meant.
Right. Yeah. Epithets are totally like the OG inside baseball, and when they're talking about one thing in the name, it's actually conversely doing another mechanistic mental shift in your subconscious. When they call him strong-armed, it's implying that he's weak-legged. You know what I mean? Yeah, epithets. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end of the Marvelous Demystifiers, we were focusing on Doctor Strange is going in front of the tribunal of the Illuminati, and it's so ultra lame, but I was stoked to kind of see through the lameness and bring forward a great amount of really potent promulgation protocols, giving public notice, and everybody's slapping their face because it's so goofy. But meanwhile, they're going to overlook some really fascinating symbolic signaling, I guess. And so I'm going to try to screen share. Hang with us, folks. Here we go. I'm going to be dangerous for a second. I'm going to try to screen share part of. Oh, actually, no, I don't have the tribunal moment. Let me do this. I'm going to screen share the images that I made. And we're going to look at Old Slick's greatest accomplishment. Here we go. All right. All rights reserved. Welcome to the Slick Dissidents gallery of fascinating thoughts. So, for anybody who has not seen my work in the past, Doctor Strange is clearly the Magi card, first and foremost. And it's the telltale cape that he has. But not only that, the Magi card from the Rider-Waite deck has the table in front of him, a partial table, half of the table, with all of the elemental implements of his intentionality. It's got the coins represents the winter, cups represents the spring, wands represents the summer, and swords represents the fall. You could also say earth, water, fire, air, and he's holding up the staff of intentionality, and he's got the anima over his head because he knows his calendar inside and out. And in the opening scene of Doctor Strange, he's got this table in front of him where he's doing surgery. This is the initiation of the first Doctor Strange, actually. This is from the very first episode. And then in some of his learning experience in the Shangri-La of the Mystics, which I kind of forget what they called it, but he is mastering the time stone, and he goes forward and backwards in time on this apple, and so he's gaining the fruit of knowledge, but he's on a table. He needs the table, just like the Magi card. So that kind of starts us on our journey. And now this is part 2, the Multiverse of Madness with Scarlet Witch. And the tribunal is a bunch of parallel dimension Marvel characters that are kind of, conglomerated. They're mutated. They're mutated uh, concepts and thought forms from the other stories, but these ones have a little something a little different about each one of them. And as I was putting together my slides for the Demystifier program, I was also watching Chance do a show with Homie Romy and Juan from One on One podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing deep analysis on sacred architecture, and they just happened to bring forward the rotunda, the Washington Rotunda. And I'm on a whole nother stream of thought thinking about Doctor Strange, and my brothers are doing a live stream about the rotunda. And as they're doing their presentation, I realize, oh my goodness, the characters on the tribunal are reanimated characters from Greek mythology that are up on the rotunda. And so I took some of the ideas that I was trying to put together for the show, and I had to take it to the next level. And so I ended up superimposing. This is Hephaestus, who I think represents Baron Carl Mordor, or Carl Baron Mordo. And then Black Bolt has the super voice of death.
Banshee.
Kind of like the Banshee. You're so right. Yep. And so this character here is kind of Virgo-esque, and she has a horn. And then Captain America in this universe is actually his sweetheart. She has taken up the shield, and she's literally using the same shield that Lady Liberty holds from the Washington Rotunda. And then comes Captain Marvel in this universe. She's kind of a black lesbian social justice warrior with a mask. She's totally rocking the Mercury powers. And Baxter, the father figure of the Fantastic Four, he is the smartest man alive. And in the rotunda is Benjamin Franklin right here. And can you see this this glass circle?
Yeah.
I think this is showing us that the invention of a super microphone that can project sound from, or capture sound from an extreme distance. I think they're telling us that they've had that technology for a long time, going back to Ben Franklin.
It's interesting. It's either that or it's, because that or light in some way, because there is the rainbow behind them.
Right. Yes.
But you could do either. Both are going to be the same sort of technology, projecting frequencies.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, Baxter is called like the smartest man in the universe or whatever. And Benjamin Franklin likewise. Well, this is Athena. She's got her spear, and she's giving wisdom to the smartest man in the universe, Ben Franklin from the old Hellfire clique. And then there's Poseidon is on the rotunda, and Poseidon holds the symbol of Psi, Psi. This is psychology. And that's totally our boy, Professor Xavier. Also
the merchants in a way.
Yeah, kind of the Phoenicians.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because that's the Poseidon Trident, right? So, you have the whole Oceania type of symbolism there.
Yes. Okay, so this is the realization that I had just by the synchronicity of our brothers doing a breakdown on sacred architecture. And now I'm going to show what I was already putting together before I even saw them doing the rotunda work. I'm going to share the fact that what really had me lit up is these characters are anthropomorphizing the constitutional amendments. And this threat.
I remember you doing this actually, but go. Okay. I'm excited now because I didn't get to watch everything when you were doing this.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. And let me excuse me while I click through to orient. I'm actually going to. Okay, here we go. First Amendment, the Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. That's an interesting way to word it. Respecting an establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So it's speaking to both sides, right? They can't honor it, but they also can't stop it. Or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble or to petition the government for redress of grievances. And Black Bolt gets his First Amendment taken away. He gets his special power of super speech taken away. And so if my estimations are correct, that means Virgo here with the horn of history, really. This is the horn of history. She is like a living embodiment of the First Amendment. And I just love this theory that they've anthropomorphized our constitutional rights. It's a really fascinating idea. And then now keep in mind, folks, something is new in the world regarding the freedom of the press, which is preserved in the First Amendment, right? The printing press is protected by the First Amendment. But something completely new is going on because now we have 3D printing for firearms. And so you have a printing press that can actually make weapons. And that is their second constitutional amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, this guy, Baxter, he has rubber arms, and he gets printed to death. He gets 3D printed to death. That's how the way that they kill each of the characters is fascinating poetic justice in an assault on your constitutional amendments. And so also ARMS, in some of the sovereign circles, they'll tell you this is not just guns, folks. This is your adjustable rate mortgage securities. And that sounds cute and funny, but it's completely legit. When I was an independent contractor doing furniture moving, I had to reserve my right to bear adjustable rate mortgage securities. If I'm in the middle of a contract and all of a sudden my client is like, oh yeah, plus I got this piano, I need you to move up these stairs. And I'm like, whoa. We didn't talk about a piano. You got me halfway through the job and now you're going to put my back up against the wall and expect me to execute something that we didn't talk about, that we didn't negotiate. So I have the ability to change the rate of my services. And I can actually say, if you're going to throw a piano on the contract that you didn't tell me, that's going to be another $200, pal. And I got to call my friend to help me, so I'm adjusting the rate of my mortgage security so I don't kill myself.
Before you go on, what's interesting about that? You could rearrange it into ASMR.
Oh,
which is something a lot of people go to sleep to.
Wow.
So, I don't know if you want to equate that to people sleeping on what they can actually do regarding the rearranging of the amendment in its language. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, that's taking it to the next level. I love that.
As soon as you put that up, I was like, ASMR? And then I read about dyslexically.
Yeah, man, you got the Nephilim double masticated anagram vision. You're welcome. I love it. Okay, so yes, this is Second Amendment is Baxter, but it's strangely enough, something has bled over from your Second Amendment also to the freedom of the press, because it is a printer that can actually make your arms. And then I could go on and on.
I wonder if they chose Jim from The Office, where they print paper. Dunder Mifflin printing paper basically is all they do, and that's who they pick for this character who gets 3D printed.
Dude, that is profound. Good catch. Yeah, good catch. And a lot of people get their back up against the wall when they buy a printer because the price of the ink has been astronomical. Because they controlled the supply. So let's see. I might end up a little. Let's see. We're on amendment number 2. This might not be in perfect order. Let me go back. Okay, yeah, let me go back. Here we go. Amendment number 3 is Professor Xavier. Professor Xavier is totally hail to Ignatius Loyola, really. Like, yeah, Ignatius Loyola's quote about "Give me the child, and by the age of 7, I will give you the man." Well, our guy Professor Xavier has a school of superpowered youth. So yeah, he's got some strong Ignatius Loyola undertones. But yeah, the Third Amendment, the housing of soldiers, he's basically, which is to keep the military from infiltrating your domicile, right? And that's exactly what Professor Xavier is all about, is psychic warfare and keeping all of, just like me, raging against the promulgation protocols of culture, that I don't want the military to get into the heads of these kids with these Marvel programs. Yeah, so that's amendment number 3. And then amendment number 4, this is so funny. This is so funny. Chance was cracking up at this one. The Rambo rainbows of the LGBTLMNOQ movement. She is totally, social justice warrior, but she's secure in her sexuality. That's her superpower is, she's a totally comfortable lesbian. She's secure in her sexuality. And her PPE, and that means personal papers and effects, but that's also your personal protective equipment. That's what they called the masks in the lockdowns. They called it your PPE. And so at first, when I heard PPE, I was like, that's some bullshit. That's whatever. That's garbage. But then in a strange way, on the subliminal level, am I also saying I don't value my Fourth Amendment? I'm saying I think these masks are garbage. We should not be doing the masks. In a strange way, there's a little bait and switch going on that I might also be denying my own right to person, paper, and effects security. So yeah, the Rambos and the rainbows. There's just a little missing I in the word Rambo, and a lot of the bad actors out there are being reported to be advocates of the LGBTQ movement. And I just want to say, I think everybody should look at what they did to the rainbow movement and consider how it might come real close to home for the flat earth movement. Okay. And this is a hard pill, but Slick is here to serve it up for you. All right. So with my kiddo at school, a lot of the parents are raging for how the school is going to address gender onto the children. And how are we going to talk about gender? Because this kid thinks he's a cat and they put a litter box in the bathroom. Well, my kiddo is all about raging for their right to reconstruct reality in the image of what their parents find appropriate. And my kiddo was all about that. And I'm like, well, so I said to my kiddo, well, what would you think if I came to the school and said, you got to stop teaching my kid that the world is round? You got to teach my kid that the world is flat. I don't agree with your definition of reality. And that was a real a mental check for my kiddo to be like, oh, dang, it is kind of the same thing. So I just want to convey that on to our flat earth homies in the world, that the same thing that happened to the rainbows might just come home to roost for the flatties.
Only difference that I will give the people, I do think they should like keep an eye open, but the only difference is the physical harm that comes to.
Good point.
So that's like the one thing that might prevent this from moving further with the other type of things, because I feel like there have been some of these religious type of, not saying that this flat versus globe thing has to be a religious thing, but there have been these types of arguments before where they wanted you to either pray at the beginning of the school day or not. I believe in public schools even, and that was banned at one point, and that was a problem, and then it wasn't banned, and then it was banned again.
Yes,
so
that's an excellent point.
So you all might be okay. But, yeah. So keep one eye open, but
yeah.
Don't be too paranoid about it.
Yeah, you're right. It's not a perfect correspondence. You're totally right. But I will say, Captain America is rocking a flat Earth model shield. his shield is a flat Earth model. And they just crashed and burned the Captain America narrative with the most recent, what's it called? New World, Brave New World. They crashed and burned the whole storyline with that character, just as the flat earthers get the rug pull from the final experiment. So yeah, it's pretty intense how they anticipate our worldview. And Captain America, the original, he was a language police. He was actually calling out the team when they used foul language in the battlefield. He was like, "Hey, language." And everybody's like, "Whoa, man, he's back. Who are you to be the language police?" And in a strange way, that's kind of the way both the flat earthers and the LGBTQ movement is like, "Hey, I don't like the way you're talking."
Yeah.
Let's see. I think nope, going the other way. And now we're looking at Fifth Amendment. Fifth Amendment is the right not to self-incriminate. I'm not going to read every damn thing, but this is Captain America in the parallel dimension. She's representing the Fifth Amendment, and the proof of this is just before she gets taken out, she spits blood on the ground and says the famous Captain America line, "I could do this all day." And then she throws the shield, and the shield gets thrown back at her. She gets cut in half. She gets double jeopardy. These are all symbolic aspects of the Fifth Amendment. And then she self-incriminates. When she says, "I could do this all day," and spits blood, then she gets what she asks for. It comes back on her, and she ends up spitting blood and dying. And sure enough, the shield from the original Captain America is this shield from the Lady Liberty on the rotunda. It's the same shield. It's so significant. All right. And the Sixth Amendment is Baron. Isn't that an interesting word today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Baron Carl Mordo. And he's representing the Sixth Amendment. In all criminal procedures, the accused shall enjoy the right of a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. He's basically the master of ceremonies of the trial. And he can manifest weapons out of thin air. That's one of his skill sets, just like Hephaestus, the craftsman who makes all the weapons.
That's fun. I feel like he was in the Matrix. He looks like that guy from the Matrix with the dreadlocks. Who doesn't he like just
deliver? Yeah, and he's got the great voice too. He's got a great voice.
Is the guy in the Matrix with the dreadlocks? Was he a programmer who helped them manifest things when they needed them while they were in the simulation? I feel like he was. Because he was. I think he was only in the first one, and then they got rid of him for the rest of them. But I think he was.
Yeah, it was like Tank and the other guy. Maybe. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so that Sixth Amendment, and then I think the Seventh Amendment is actually Dr. Strange himself.
Interesting.
But he's not on the tribunal. There's an empty seat where he's supposed to be sitting. So the Seventh Amendment is completely abandoned on the tribunal, but that's where Dr. Strange should be taking his sovereign position to actually engage his rights, to have control over his rights. But he's out of his own seat, and he's being put on trial. And then I believe that the Scarlet Witch herself, she is totally representing. Oh, where is it? She's representing the Eighth Amendment. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing. She in the Eighth Amendment is excessive fines, fees, bails, and punishments, and that's what she's there doing. She's dishing out excessive punishments. Let me see.
Oh, because someone broke her AI. Don't be breaking the AI. It might come after you.
Okay, here we go. Is that coming through?
Oh, yeah. See how angry she is? Jeez.
Right. And this one is trippy because on the rotunda, it's super sly. It's way down in the details where nobody's reading the terms of the agreement, is Hecate, she of the two torches. And Hecate has slid through culture for millennia now. And so she's hiding out in the rotunda. Nobody really probably knows she's there. But Old Slick's got an eye for all the sleight of hand. And yeah, so Hecate is representing the Eighth Amendment, excessive bails, fines, and punishments. And also there's a strong relationship to the placenta. And this is a pomegranate, really. This is a symbol of a pomegranate, which is super placental.
Dude, you know what? I need you to search real fast. Rita, Power Rangers.
What? Oh, dude, you're going to the Rita.
But it's literally, she has like the exact, even the symbol you had next to her, next to the Scarlet Witch is like, this is like the symbol that it seems like she's wearing around her neck, her collar.
Okay.
She's got even like the long nails and the horns, like the horns on her head, kind of same color, sort of. Well, she changes colors, it seems like, but the red. Hey, that's interesting,
buddy. Yeah. So, to try to capture the largest parameters of this thought form you're pulling on the strings of. Ritalin has a very dark provenance going back to Dr. Maxwell Jacobson, whose nickname was Dr. Feelgood, and he was producing a form of methamphetamines back in the 60s, and he had all the high movers and shakers under his thumb because he had this form of meth that he was cooking up on his own in his own laboratory, and he was using animal placenta in the methamphetamines. And he had who's the actor that played Noah or Moses, who played Moses?
The original one, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't Heston?
That's it. Charlton Heston. The moment when Charlton Heston, and they're filming him coming with the tablets off the mountain, and he's sweating bullets in the film, and the light is shining off of his forehead, which is true to the story. He has to have the horns of shininess off of his head. Charlton Heston was tripping balls on placenta methamphetamines in that scene, in that culture-defining moment. He's tripping balls off of injected placenta methamphetamines. And that recipe that Maxwell Jacobson had, he sold it to the Nazis, and they turned everybody into crazy super soldiers with the meth. And Hitler is always tweaking out on his meth because he was on this Pervitin that Maxwell Jacobson had. And that formula that we call Pervitin, it developed and became Ritalin. And so if you guys ever hear our clique talking about placenta meth, that's what we're talking about. And then you're talking about Rita, and she has a symbol of the pomegranate, which is the placenta.
Dude, she even has the hook. She even has that hook.
Oh,
it's
damn.
It's a little different. It's like, it's not well, I guess. Here, let me send you a.
Is it kind of like a coat hanger kind of thing?
It's more like a crescent moon with a like orb in the center of it. Hold on, let me send it in the private. I'll send you a link to a photo you could use in the private chat.
Super creepy. It's so creepy. Yeah.
I mean, that's like that's one off Pinterest, so you can actually, I think, show that it's not on a website or anything like that. But it's like, the hook, it's not really, it's less of a hook and more of like a loop in this version. But in some of the versions, it's just a crescent moon hook.
Man, yeah. Sometimes these things, it's like, I'm almost afraid to look, and I might need to bleach my eyes.
Yeah, and this doesn't even have the pattern around the neck like the other one did, but that kind of matched the geometry pattern that you had next to the Scarlet Witch. But I mean, that is a Scarlet Witch, if we're being real.
Yeah, man. Totally.
Yeah.
So now I'm super stoked to kind of bring all of those weaves from the demystifiers here tonight. And then I want to kind of shift into some refraction of what Emily Moyer blew our mind with on the episode that people still haven't seen. I'm so thrilled for when that one comes out. Because in our show with Emily, I brought forward a graphic of Doctor Strange doing his magical battle stance. And he's like getting ready to cast a spell, and he's got his hand in this one position. And that hand posture for Emily, it brought up a powerful association. She says that is Novak Djokovic's hand. That's how he is getting ready to cast his spell on the tennis court. And it was so profound when she said that. And so many things came into context because she is really dialed into what Djokovic means as a cultural icon for Serbia. And Chris, you flipped my lid when you told me about Steiner's prophecy about Serbia is going to be the breadbasket of the new consciousness.
Basically, if the spiritual, enlightened sort of next group of individuals who might hopefully save us from the Harmonic current in the eighth sphere should be coming from Serbia. We'll see. We'll see.
Fascinating, man. Fascinating. Well, and then also the week before we had done the show with Emily, Serbia had a huge protest with thousands of people, like maybe 30,000 people. It was so immense. And they're all having a 15-minute silent vigil for these 15 people who died from a tragedy that has brought the community out. Like the activists are storming the streets and they're acting real civil. They're so civil that many thousand people agree to be silent, to honor these deaths. It is just so impressive that they all come together and agree to have silence. And in the middle of the silence, they get hit with a directed energy weapon. And this, I call it, mystically, I consider this Wotan's frenzies. Wotan is a storm god. His name means frenzy. They get hit with this sound effect. And all these people in the middle of their silence, they just stampede. And it looks like the finger of God has wiped these people out from the center of the street.
And then this past week, I guess it's like their national animal, the national is it their, what would they call it? Is it their national animal, I guess?
Yeah.
It's the Serbian wolf. The wolf gets messed with. The genetics of the gray wolf gets messed with, and they say they created a dire wolf.
Right.
So, I mean, when we know that that's not going to be the case, it's going to be some sort of just genetic mutation of a gray wolf.
Right. And that's kind of alchemical, that it goes from gray to twice white, twinning out of gray into double whiteness. Very alchemical symbolically. And so we shared that with Emily, and she blew my mind because she is very confident that is the hand of Novak Djokovic that Dr. Strange is doing. And she goes into deep analysis on the strategy of changing your serve and doing different serve techniques and hitting it at different altitudes. And she goes way into detail. It was so enriching. Big love, Emily, big love. And so I want to reflect. I want to volley back. So Emily has served this tennis ball into my psyche, and I want to take it and I want to send it back her way with some powerful reflections and the cultural icons of Marvel, as it may be a perfect one-to-one overlap onto Novak Djokovic, who is the hero of the anti-vax movement. You know what I mean? It's so intense, so profound. And I'm going to start now. Here we go. Fair use number one. I'm going to try for the first time ever. And this is a perfect video for Slick to, for the first time ever, share a video on a live stream. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that this is the first one. This is so fun. And I'm going to have to keep it, I'll do 30 seconds and then we'll stop, and then maybe we'll just piecemeal as bit by bit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there is a magical battle that takes place between Doctor Strange against evil Doctor Strange in the film. But that magical battle is not as original as it probably appeared to everybody who saw the movie, because it's actually based on Vincent Van Price's magical wizard fight from the film The Raven. And so here we go. We're going to watch a little bit at a time of this magical duel from the old film The Raven. Is that coming through?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here we go, y'all. Let the party begin. Okay. I got to pause every 20 some seconds so we can educate and uh, pontificate, so to say. Am I coming through? Is my audio good right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, quick story I want to tell everybody. Old Slick has actually been in magical battles, and I barely survived. I have a fascinating story I've told a few times in a few places about being invited to a capoeira roda at kind of a rival school. This is capoeira. I guess he calls himself a mestre. I don't know if I would call him a mestre, but he calls himself a mestre. And I was invited secondhand by my professor to come to this capoeira roda. And the lead instructor, the host of the party, made a huge uh, production out of trying to drag me into uh, martial combat and put me to the test. And I tell you what, I could talk about it for an hour about all of the psychic and the spiritual effery that I was enduring in that battle of the soul. And I did. I ended up coming out of the Hoda with two, I just call it two curses. He put a jitsu on each one of my knees in the middle of the game, and everything was cool while I was playing. But as soon as I walked out of the Hoda, out of the circle, and I grounded the energy, said my prayers, and walked away, little cleansing ritual. As soon as I stepped out of the circle, both of my kneecaps started to float, and it screwed with me for months. It screwed with me for months. Oh, Zaralath is telling me something to add to my video description. Thank you, Zaralath. Big ups, champion. I will try to do that ASAP. Thank you, buddy. Okay, here we go for 30 more seconds. Right, so he casts a snake around his neck, and then he just casually disarms the snake and turns it into a scarf. And it's kind of fascinating. I think there are actual like anagrams in the spellcraft here, like snake and scarf. There's probably some gematria being revealed to those who have the eyes to see. But you'll notice a theme to like the style of magical combat. Like the one guy is clearly doing dark magic and always the aggressor, and our guy Vincent Van Price here is always disarming. He's always it's not just that he's on the defensive, but he's a master of evasion. And you can see there's like a stylistic um, nuance between how their attacks and counter maneuvers play out. So right now, I just want to point out how does that, I would just hope everybody is catching on that this is a tennis match. This is a tennis match. They're volleying back and forth with intentionality, and it's a call and a response also, kind of like a rap battle.
Like a dance. I was going to say like a dance off almost, Steven. It's very
Totally like
similar. Yeah.
just like a dance off, yes. And in Capoeira, all of this stuff is fully operational. In Capoeira, we do all kinds of fun stuff with casting intentionality back and forth. And hold on, I'm going to do 30 more seconds, and I'll tell one of my favorite stories of my professor's. One of his moves he did one time. Was that wax on, wax off, or what?
Absolutely.
That was wax on, wax off, y'all. So one time we had a visiting student at our school, very much like the situation where I went to a rival school and got the jitsu put on both my knees. We had a visitor who came to our school, and in Capoeira, almost every school is a different style, but on a broader context, our style is called Capoeira Angola. It's very traditional. It's has a much deeper root in Africa. There's a lot of African pride kind of expressed in the dress code. We wear the shoes because we anticipate being out on the cobblestone streets. And this other school from this student who came to visit us, he comes from a more contemporary style that is more Brazilian rooted, and they go barefoot. They prefer to play barefoot. They have a different dress code, but they also have a bit more of a chip on their shoulder. They're a little more into getting into the physical contact. They're way more into intimidation and machismo shit. And so this student is playing against my instructor, and he's check. Am I coming through? Uh-oh.
Oh, you're good. I'm just muted because someone just knocked on the door for Maggie. Hold on.
Okay.
So
Go, all right.
you keep talking. I'm
right on. I was worried that YouTube had shut us down already or something. So yeah, okay. So this, let's see. I'm going to stop sharing briefly just in case. Here we go. All right. I got to be cautious. So this visiting student, he had he's playing in the game with my instructor, and he pulls up some hard elbows, and he's putting out like real heavy aggressive elbows. And my teacher catches his arm, and he just grabs his elbow, and then he smiles, looks him in the eyes, and he uses the elbow to wipe off the sweat on his forehead, and then gives him the, hey, thanks, I needed that, and gives his elbow back to him. It was so sly. And the guy is disarmed. He's totally disarmed. He's laughing. He's totally charmed. You know what I mean? He thought he thought he was throwing aggression, and my instructor just said, "Oh, I needed that. You noticed I was sweating there. Thank you. I really needed that elbow." So yeah, I totally see my instructor style in this this wizard battle. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I feel like I conveyed the gist of the idea. I don't want to push my luck anymore with the fair use play, but I definitely recommend people look up the Raven Magic Wizard battle and watch the whole thing play out, because it just goes on, and it's ridiculous. And for a lot of us, again, if it looks lame, a lot of people dismiss it, but I'm here to tell you there is a lot of symbolic enrichment in actually taking some of these things as more serious, more meaningful.
I can't believe they based this whole, so like, I don't know where in the Raven, the poem, by Edgar Allan Poe, that this is this part where they're getting that from, but this is saying the film is based on The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, which is it's super interesting that that's the case, because I'm hugely into Poe, and I feel like there's a lot of just decipherment to do there. So that's strange.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yes, Zarelath says it's an old film and not part of the modern market, which that makes me a little more comforted. But that's okay. I think I got the gist of the idea across, that the idea of a tennis match being actually a wizard battle, as they're serving up and casting intention to the other person to try to throw them off their guard and catch them where they're not looking.
Mm-hmm.
All of that strategy is beautifully exemplified there.
One other interesting thing about this is seeing Vincent Price as the good guy, because usually he then becomes like the villain in like all of his later films.
He did. So, yeah. In his career arc, he definitely goes darker and darker and darker. And then he ends up being a character on Scooby-Doo. Do you remember that at all?
Oh my God, no, I don't.
Vincent Van Price had he had like a cameo in a standalone Scooby-Doo episode, but then they went on and did a whole line of Scooby-Doo in the Mystery Chest, something like that, where he had an enchanted traveling chest that ghosts would come out of, like in a containment unit from the Ghostbusters. It's so fascinating how these ideas are actually kind of torches of inspiration that get passed on and re-amalgamed.
Yeah. No, that's wild. Oh, and his name in that film was Dr. Erasmus.
Totally. Wow. So yeah, big love to Gordy, by the way. Gordy from the Demystifiers, he was the one who mentioned the Raven in this wizard battle. He brought it to my attention way back in the days. And so, so just, I believe that what we're about to watch in Doctor Strange was inspired from that little clip. And I totally recommend people go and watch the whole thing, because it is really fun. It's really fun. So I'm going to...
Zarelath is saying, I think Lucy is saying Zarelath might be saying that you don't have to stop every 30 seconds. I don't know.
Zarelath well, that's okay. That's okay. It's my first time, y'all. It's my first time. I'm happy with what we've conveyed. Yeah, he thinks I'm under the radar. Okay, big love, Z. Big love, buddy. So the next part is definitely more current in the market, so to say, part of the modern market, if you will. So again, with the fair use, Ave Maria, praise Jesus, all the protective spells. God help us all. Okay. And so isn't that funny that like the word fair use is a magic spell, right? It's a ward. It's a guard. It creates a sanctified space.
Yep.
Yeah. Very profound. Very profound. Okay. I'm going to go in and we're going to watch a little bit of the modern day derivative of Vincent Van Price, where homie is going up against himself. When you diss Dre, you diss yourself. Here we go.
As if you've been pushed up.
Here we go.
You ever had that dream where you're falling as if you've been pushed up a tall building? That was probably me.
Okay, I want to state that I do believe what he is saying right there is that he symbolically represents an aspect of the human anatomy. When he says that, ever have the feeling that when you fall off a building, I think there's a physiological, technical terminology for what he is admitting that he represents. that fight or flight fear response. Do you ever get that, Chris, where you feel like you fell off a building and you pop up in the middle of your sleep?
I have had it before, but interestingly, this would also line up with the Guardian of the Threshold in Steiner's view, that you would face basically kind of the worst aspect of yourself, or that you needed to kind of overpass before you were able to get to the next stage of your either spiritual life or your astral projection. You know, there's a point where you come up against this Guardian of the Threshold, and he stops you from going any further. And usually it's like a doppelganger.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's your worst fear. I mean, that's why I think he's facing himself.
Excellent point. Excellent point. I love that, Reed. All right, here we go.
Our cold exacts a heavy tone. Okay. All the more reason to give it a rest and let me have it. Here's the deal. I'll let you use the dark hole if you give me your Christine. Yeah. I don't think she's gonna go for that. No? Didn't think so.
Okay, and I just want to pause here and mention that not only is this how the capoeira plays out, this is rap battles, but this is also debate, you know, anticipating the other person's response. And yeah, just the call and response of it is very traditional. They're adhering to a tradition, you know.
What was the first thing that the evil Dr. Evil said there? Was he's like, I'll let you take the dark hole? Is that what he said?
Well, are they? It's called the dark hold, but you are so correct. Okay. You're so correct. Like, who has? Here we go. Let's demystify it. Who has control, or who reaps benefit from the trademark concept that Stephen Hawking created that is called a black hole? Who has control over that? And what happens if somebody comes along and improves on it? Who do they have to answer to? And this is, you know, the estate of a person's body corpus. It still lives beyond your lifetime here. And maybe, you know, maybe Stephen Hawking's family is still responsible for maintaining the concept of the black hole. And so if anybody wants to renovate it, they got to answer to Stephen Hawking's bloodline.
There's also definitely some things like you're mentioning a little bit of the body corpus and the actual human anatomy. There's something sexual there, especially because I take your Christine, your christening, your Christ force, almost kind of like that's there. Yeah.
Wow. You got to give up Jesus if you're going to believe in black holes. Right? Mm-hmm. You got to, the black hole.
Or even your essence.
Yeah. Yes. Like, yes. You got to give up your intuition to believe that the world is not flat. That's interesting. There's the compromise, the demand of different worldviews, this worldview warfare felt Anschauung's Krieg. Great catch. All right, here we go.
Dissonance.
Okay, I'm going to pause early, but this is the part that I really want our brother George to come in on. He might still show up because these notes are legit, and some of them might be like esoteric music notes. Like even a person who thinks they read music, maybe they don't know how they wrote music in this culture. You know what I'm saying?
See, I do know the scene because of this part of the scene, because he's in actually. I think I invited him into the Slick Dissidents dance chat. He's actually in it. Reagan is his name. You might have seen him.
Yeah. I love Reagan.
He's the one who showed me the scene originally, because like I said, I only saw the first Doctor Strange. I didn't see this one, but he had a really good breakdown on it too. I should have asked him about it. I forgot that. I didn't even know you were going to do it, obviously, till the last minute. But he has a lot of good insight on this scene.
Yeah, right on. Yes. And also, you know, like while we're looking at the symbols visually, that's what I hope George kind of tunes into what's going on in the musical side. You know, they might be showing us one thing, but conveying audio information on a different level.
Yeah, I'll see if I can help with that as well.
Okay.
We'll see. I'll listen.
So right there was the part in the Capoeira Roda where I got the curse put on my kneecaps.
That's interesting. Can you go back one more time? That little part?
Yeah. Let's see here.
So, I mean, you're getting like classical music that's coming through and it's actually connecting with him. And you're also getting this real weird reversal sound
Yeah.
of the tone as it's going towards him, which is interesting.
Oh, right. They're playing it backwards. Yeah, good point. And also, something I'm seeing is all of a sudden his third eye is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You had to put it away for the battle, but
Probably because maybe the dissonance too of the sound is like too much for him to kind of breaking the frequency.
yeah. Or maybe they're sometimes I think when they do like anachronisms or little camera mistakes, I think they're actually diminishing our discernment by showing us one thing and then showing us something that makes no sense at all, but we just roll through and take it for granted. I think they do that strategically in film a lot. Now that was Phantom of the Opera, right?
Sounded like it, didn't it?
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then notice also that like this, I don't know, I think that the different colors of the different music, I just want to mention that the Greeks spoke about culture as music. They used musical paradigms and musical language and musical truth to describe how social engineering should be conducted. And so the paradigm of music and the idea of social engineering, it goes way back to the Greeks. Okay, and at this point, I want everybody to notice the table. Again, the Magi card, he's always got the table in front of him. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to put it on the record now. Jesus flipping the tables on the money changers, right? There is a grand table in the sky, the highest, the alpha table of all tables in the realm of forms is a constellation in the heavens. Technically, there are two of them. One is called the Mensa, and it's a tiny little negligible constellation, but it's very close to the Mama table that is called Ara Altair. And Ara Altair is, I believe, represents the table on the Magi card. In the shape of Ara Altair, if you take the image of it and you print it up in one direction, and then you take the same image and also flip it like Jesus flipping the table on the money changers. If you flip the image of Ara Altair and reverse it, if you put my thing down, flip it and reverse it, it makes the shape of the Enneagram. And that is so profound to me. But I want to also convey that this table might represent, in some people's symbolic subconscious, it might also represent flat Earth, because watch what happens to the table here. And so right here, I got to say, in the Enneagram is encoded harmonic frequencies. The 582 is a harmonic frequency, or some combination thereof. Actually, I think any combination thereof. You could do 285 or 852. All of these have numeric harmonic truth that plays out into huge math puzzles. And then the same thing with the 4, 1, and the 7. There's all these harmonic frequencies, and when you arrange them in certain ways, you get the devil's tone. You could get the F sharp, and you could get the C flat. Did you see the flat Earth model on that table? Did you see the flat Earth model on that table? So the F sharp and the C flat and the devil's tone, it's all here symbolically being laid to bear in the visual.
You're also getting that really weird 3D periscope, stereoscopic type of imagery that you like would have to use the dual colored lenses to actually see in 3D.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So true. So true. The decoder glasses goes back to Benjamin Franklin and Joseph Smith. So this moment right here is very important. And I just want everybody to notice how the music is getting very intense. If you think of the music in a sexual context, we're about to see the orgasmo. We're about to see the final maneuver. And what is inseminated with this final maneuver is conveyed to us through the harp. And the harp is the Lera constellation. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We are approaching the climax, the peak expression of the Lera meteor. It's called the Lyrid meteor showers. We're in the middle of it right now. And on the 22nd is the climax of this panspermia spell of the heavens raining down over our consciousness. And it's all coming to a head on 4/22, the same date that they dismantled the Argo Navis, the real shiny ship. The relationships were broken up in 1930 when they broke apart the largest constellation in the heavens, dismantled it into 3 different constellations and demoted it. And when they did that, Hydra rose to the top to be the largest constellation by size in the sky. The 9-headed snake of the Hydra that I consider the Enneagram, that I'm constantly chopping its head off and getting new ideas every time. And watch what happens. Boom. Happy Passover, ladies and gentlemen.
God damn. You have to go back to that, please, one more time.
Okay. There's so much, isn't there? Yeah. There's so much. Okay, yeah, let's do it some more. Yeah, if a picture says 1,000 words, this kind of stuff says 100,000. Let's see. Here we go. Bada boom. Which part do you want to see?
Just that last little. You could even start from where it was there, but yeah, if you want to go from there, that's fine.
Okay. Too. Okay. And I just want to reiterate how the different colors in the music is, it's nifty and it's cute and it's cool and it makes things obvious, but I think it could also be cultural warfare. The Greeks considered different cultures to be different types of music. And so, and the Germans had the word, Weltanschauungskrieg, worldview warfare. But yeah, we know that the social engineers are playing different cultures against each other. Pause for fair use statement. Okay, continuing. Big Bang Theory. Go ahead. What are you thinking?
Not sure yet.
You know, I'm thinking about Glass-Steagall. I'm thinking about when he breaks through the glass. You know, Darth Vader was sent Luke Skywalker shooting through the glass, and also the Wicked Witch. She had to break through the glass ceiling at her apotheosis moment, and also the Blue Origin recently. All those ladies up there riding on the phallus in the sky. The cracking of the hatch, the breaking of the seal, the strange virginity of the hymen that may actually be a myth. Yeah, all of it symbolically embedded.
It reminds me too of a scene that I saw. Who the heck? What's his name? Radiation Matters, I think might be the name of the channel. Played it from either I think it might have been The Last Airbender, either the show or the movie. I have no idea where he got it, which one he got it from. But it's like this weaponry they're using where it's almost like an inverse sort of black holes created. Like a black hole is created with this weaponry, but then it explodes. So it's like it's sort of a sucking in and explosion outward, and it's sort of like this. It's implied to be almost like a Tesla sort of technology that you need this weird sort of directed energy to be able to perform, and it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But also it reminds me of like what they say, how there's this wave coming from the galactic center that's supposed to be causing disturbances in the whole entire solar system. And the other day I heard someone mainstream say that, and say something about the model that he didn't mention Steiner, but saying that we don't actually orbit the sun. We follow behind the sun in a corkscrew manner, like all the planets do. And we're headed toward Lera, he said.
Whoa. Buddy.
And I was going to tell you about that. And I forgot to until just now. So it's a good thing I remembered, because it's interesting if we'd be headed towards that constellation. You're saying we're about to be hit with a bunch of meteors from that area.
Yeah, that is super interesting, man. So yeah, so this meteor shower, I think it starts on the 13th of this month, and then I think it goes until like the 29th or so. But that means it always bridges tax day. This Lera always bridges tax day every year. And sure enough, the moment of the explosion, look at the time mark, 216. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. 2 is a T, 1 is an A, 6 is the X. 216 spells tax. And that's the moment that it explodes.
Oh,
at least in this video sample, that's the moment it explodes. Maybe not the case in the film itself.
It's an interesting window too. Interesting looking window. I feel like Melania did a photo shoot in front of a window that looked very similar to that.
Wow. Yeah, man. So much symbolic consistency through so many things. And that's something that I'm really dialing into, is how everybody's looking at words and letters and everything that's explicit. And, you know, ever since I've come to appreciate art, I realized that so much more can be conveyed in the what is implicit, what is unseen, especially for those with the eyes to see.
Because if you want to know my original thought when I first saw that, it was, isn't that how the Crow died in the movie of The Crow? Didn't he fly out his circular window in his room, and then that crow, which is like very similar to a raven, brings him back to life? And then you have the Crows, also like a very Joker-esque type of Batman-like character.
Great catch, man. I wonder if I haven't seen the entire Raven film. I only watched the magic battle, but I wonder if there's an artifact from somewhere else in the film that has been passed through and through that was just hailed to right there. that was also in Star Wars and so many other things, even the Wicked. So, so yeah, I just wanted to kind of set that up as a reflection, as a volley back to our girl Emily, who was really illuminating me on how magical tennis is in the casting of and serving up of spells. And now it's not just that. I want to bring one more piece of evidence for Emily to consider in regards to corresponding Doctor Strange and Djokovic, because very recently, old Djokovic, he he injured his hands. Do you remember this?
I think I saw something about it, but I'm not 100% familiar, but I remember what you showed, what you had in your graphics. So
Okay, yeah, man, yeah, man. So, and you know, the thing about the rumor mill is like he might have only sprained a finger, and then the rumor mill gets a hold of it, and it turns into he broke his hand. So I don't know what the nature of the injury is, but I do want to correspond something that is kind of a an important detail from the Doctor Strange. Has to do with when they actually do a deep analysis on his hands. Let's see. Here we go. And this is him stuck in a detainment center. Man, they're compressing the psychic impact of what's going to come out of Texas when the detainment centers are put on blast, which happened recently as the moon went past Uranus. They had a huge blowout of depicting people in the detainment process. All right. Give thanks and praise, fair use.
Your research field. The two of you, along with Worth and Tim Cloak, are here for surveillance and testing.
Testing.
Your injuries, they're similar, but they're not identical. Fascinating. Because you're dangerous, Stephen. And you are in a high...
Just like Novak Djokovic is dangerous because he's role modeling that he will not be tested. He will not be tested. But man, I love that he overcame. You know what I mean? I love that his story is a victory story.
now, when they're saying that, what are they saying about his hands? They're saying that
The injury from the Doctor Strange from their universe is one way, but the injury on the other Doctor Strange is kind of an inversion of it. That the nature of the injury is the same but different, kind of. And I wonder what Djokovic's X-rays look like. But then to bring everything to a full culmination of the weave, it has been brought to my attention very recently that one of Djokovic's signature maneuvers, remember, the final blow in the magic battle was strumming the harp, and the musical note went and created a big bang that blew his enemy out the window. Well, when Djokovic gets done winning, he goes in front of everybody and he puts his racket on his neck like a violin, and he plays his racket just like a violin. And this is in honor of his daughter, who is a violinist. And so he has a pantomiming magic spell that he is honoring his own child's passions when he plays the violin at the end of a victory. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I really love that.
the reversal of the hand thing is interesting. I mean, just this constant reversal that seems to be in play is also, who knows what it's going to mean, but I mean, they have the whole reverse universe they were throwing around for a while.
Right.
So who knows if that's going to become a thing. I don't know.
Right. And
Yeah.
reverse psychology, like, they know that if they know that you're, that you test heavily in the, as a contrarian, then they know exactly how to lure you down the garden path. If you test heavily as a contrarian.
And we saw them use, that scene even mentions biometrics right in the scene. I
Big
saw it
time.
on the title. I didn't see it. I didn't hear them really say much about it, but yeah.
Yeah, man. Very fascinating. All right. Well, I'm glad that George didn't show up when I wasn't watching, because when I do screen share, I can't see. Like, he could have been sitting in the green room all along, and I would have missed out on some George time. But I hope he digs on the show tonight. And I'm gonna peek through my telly and make sure I emptied the cup, because I think there were maybe a couple other graphics I wanted to weave in. Let's see. No, the cup is empty. Yeah, well, oh, no, let's do this. Let's do this while I have everybody here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. This was really fun. So it was a whole lot of fun. And yeah, I'm going to bug George to come join us maybe on the next show.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there wasn't much, I mean, aside from the classical music versus like you said, the Phantom of the Opera and a little bit of reversal, I couldn't really notice much else there.
Yeah.
So he might have more to say about that.
Yes. And, maybe I'm just on the fly. I'm just thinking on the fly here, but George is on his Substack. He is doing a deep analysis of the history and the impact of Wagner and these huge consciousness shifts around the musical history. And also, he's doing it in a very courageous way, because so many people are germaphobes. And that's a pun that fights on two fronts, to be germaphobe, right? And our boy George, he is facing that devil down, and he's going right after what's good here, what's good and what's dross. And in his research, in drumming up on Wagner, a lot of Wagner's works has a lot to do with Wotan, and kind of valorizing the spirit of Wotan through the music. And I would love, I don't know if Zarelath is still in the chat, but I would love to have George on here talking about his project, and I would love to hear Zarelath also bounce back off of George. That would be really some high-grade magical chemistry.
Absolutely. I would love to see that as well. There he is. So Zarelath is here still.
Yeah, man. Zarelath, we're gonna feel everybody's schedule out, and we're gonna make those windows meet so we can influence each other. So yeah, I have one more graphic I want to share. This is kind of a little treasure from the Demystifiers with Chance that I did. And because essentially there was a fascinating time signature in the film. At exactly the halfway point in the film, at 1 hour and 4 minutes, is the first time they mention the incursion. And this word incursion, for me, it just went over my head. I had no idea what they're talking about. What's it? But if you're a Marvel nerd, all the Marvel nerds were getting serious fanfare, fan gratification, because the incursion is a big deal. And the moment it was mentioned in the film is the halfway mark of the film. It was 1 hour and 4 minutes in, and it had exactly 1 hour and 4 minutes to go. And as soon as they mentioned the word, I paused the time and I get a picture of it. And then it's the father of the Fantastic Four, Baxter. He says the word incursion, and immediately Doctor Strange says, "Incursion? What are you talking about?" He repeats the same word on the other side of the time signature, at the one with 104 to go on the other side.
You want to know what's so weird? When you were playing the clip of Doctor Strange before, I was going to say he kind of looks like the main guy from the Fantastic Four, and I didn't say it. But the hair, they have the same hair, and I don't know. Maybe that's probably on purpose. It has to be. Why the hell else would I have thought that? There's no reason.
The wings of Mercury. It's the wings of Mercury that you get at your halfway, the midlife. That's the symbol of the midlife. You're having a midwife crisis. The wings of Mercury arise.
And does incursion have something to do with time travel?
Kind of. I think it has
interdimensional.
To do with interdimensional collision. Yes.
And these two, for some reason, understand this process.
Right. Right.
So that's like the sign, the grace. They're the grace.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, okay. Oh my
And then
goodness.
like alien, stranger, here we go. We got it. Doctor Strange, he's an
Wow.
alien. There it is.
Yeah,
I
man.
knew it had to be something. Has to
Yes.
be that.
Dude, there is so much happening on so many fronts. Like in the lefty reality tunnel right now, they fully believe that tomorrow is going to be an incursion of Nazi celebration. And the Nazis are going to rise and march on Hitler's birthday tomorrow. And so when the Marvel nerds have been incepted to anticipate or to think about an incursion, and the lefties are expecting an incursion to happen tomorrow. And I hope we all have the grace to handle it, to stay in honor, Okay, one more. So as I was deciphering the time signatures, dude, Chris, that one's going to grow into a million other thoughts down the road, buddy, right there. That's so good. So as I'm doing some of the math around the time signatures of the mention of incursion, I realized a similar pattern with some of the other narratives, some of the other spoken dialogue is actually echoed in the beginning of the film and again at the end of the film. So without dragging everybody through my math, I just want to share that this particular number was jumping out as I'm doing the divided line. I was doing Plato's divided line with the time signatures in the film, and it led me to research a particular number that has to do with this year 18 something. Here, I'm going to screen share, and let's go boom and boom. And yes, so my research from the Demystifier program brought me to research the year 1836. That's it. This was kind of something that was standing out in the time signatures of some of the steganography. And so it brought me way back when I was with Chance and Gordy to look at what events took place in 1836. And it was so profound because Congress of the United States, known as U.S. Congress, passes an act creating the Wisconsin Territory. And that just lit my mind up because the patch on his cape is in the shape of Wisconsin. And what did Sam Tripoli character from last week? He was telling us that whatever the outbreak was actually sourced from a lab leak out of Wisconsin. And they dressed it up, put lipstick on the pig, and served it as the COVID spell. But this guy, his research is pointing at Wisconsin as the origin. And then the next thing on the significant events in 1836 is the Texas Revolution. America Chavez has the star on her coat. That's Texas, the star card. So yeah, Sam Houston defeats troops under Mexico, named the Mexican General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. Texas Revolution, the day of the Battle of Jacinto. This location, it has a lot to do with the agave trade that makes tequila, but there's a lot of human trafficking coming out of Jacinto, a lot of slave labor. This is a huge trigger word for people who know what they're looking at. And then the formation of the Order of Hibernians, the Hibernians. And this is our boy Zaralath with all the Hyperboreans. But yeah, this is the logo of the Hibernians. And guess what's on the logo? Look at that.
There it is.
At that. There's the Lera. And so I, most recently on my channel, I have corresponded the Lera constellation to the shape of Georgia. And the shape of Georgia is actually in the location where the Lera constellation is in the zodiac in my territories map. And so, and that's where the meteor shower is coming down tonight, and it peaks in a couple of days on 4/22. And then the last thing down here is the Treaty of Velasco is signed in Velasco, Texas. But also one of these dates was the Queen's birthday. I think it's April 22nd, but I might be wrong. One of these top three, I think, is the Queen's birthday also. So yeah, very profound. Some of those old digs. I just wanted to kind of consolidate them.
It's interesting seeing that like Irish sort of flag in there with everything that's been going on with the Irish recently too. Because you have McGregor and everything like that in the mainstream news. Like basically, it's like McGregor and meets the Texan type of archetype of a Republican man. Like that's like been the news cycle.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that is fascinating, and it is so. Yeah, it's
And I'm
so
looking at that date too. By the way, as you're talking to see if there's anything else. 'Cause
Okay.
there's a lot on the wiki. There's freaking flies in here, man.
So, yeah, something that I'm coming to realize is while modern day culture is trying to shame everybody out of having any uh, right to even speak about other cultures. Like as soon as you start talking about another culture norm, everybody wants to vilify you for being racist just because you're not a part of that culture, and all of a sudden you're in some kind of caught up in some controversy. You can't even have conversations anymore about any other cultures if you're not a specialist, if you're not an expert, if you just don't have the right to self-deputize to talk about other cultures. But meanwhile, cinema is using culture as an alchemical tool, and they will put people in roles because they have all this provenance that implies so much culturally. And so for some reason, Hollywood can mix, match, reappropriate all they want, but the individual has to walk on eggshells when they're talking about culture. But then conversely, the same thing in the fighting arena and in sports. You know, you have was it Mike Tyson versus Jake? What was his name?
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. They had that fight on the night that the moon was going through Ariga, the charioteer. And I highly recommend everybody go check out the live that I did with Moonfeather. We did a show that night, and I was tracing the moon going through the heavens, and I have much reason to believe that the night of that fight, the full moon was moving through the ultimate symbol of gambling, the Urim and the Thummim. And I reasoned that out on her show, and it was such a fun experience to be on Moonfeather's channel and talk about the Urim and the Thummim and gambling and betting, and how, you know, Mike Tyson's a black dude, Jake Paul's a white dude. Well, the Urim and the Thummim is a white stone and a black stone. And so, yeah, the fact, I think that they're actually increasing the subliminal potential by making everybody feel awkward when they talk about race, but meanwhile they're race baiting the shit out of everybody in Hollywood, or in cinema, in the media, we'll say.
There was an eclipse on that day, eh?
Whoa!
Or
really?
in that year.
Okay.
In that year, the eclipse that actually Bailey's beads from Francis Bailey were created. That's the name of it. He observed it and he named Bailey's beads. That's interesting.
Wow, bead game. Bead game.
There's
y'all.
a glass bead weave for Emily.
Big time, yeah.
And there's one other thing here that's weird in that year. Did you see this? The start date for the grand strategy video game Victoria and Empire Under the Sun.
Wait, what is that? That's a long name. Say it again.
So 1836 serves as the start date for the grand strategy video game Victoria and Empire Under the Sun, Victoria 2 and Victoria 3 by Paradox Development Studio.
Dude, that was,
what a weird studio name too. Of course, they're Swedish.
dude, that was what you just said. Whatever the name that you just said was a huge magic spell. Like a strategy is hailing to the Astragas who worship Minerva, and a strategic maneuver is Minerva is an owl who can maneuver her head 360 degrees in a circle, and she is a fallen derivative of Dike. Dike means victory, and victory, Dike, is a fallen version of Athena. And so it's like they just listed off, starting with the most fallen version of Athena, and built closer and closer to her origin when she's the true, the great owl of Athena. She kind of goes through cultural decomposition as she goes from the Romans to the Astragas.
Yeah, when I first saw it, even I could barely read it. I wasn't understanding what they were even saying because of how many grand strategy video games, the start date 1836. Like, are they saying this is the date that the game was created? But they're saying no. In the game, the start date is 1836. For this video game, Victoria, an Empire Under the Sun. Why the hell would they have that on the 1836 Wikipedia page? That's not something that happened in 1836.
Yeah.
That's part of the video game that came out in 2003. And then, of course, you look at the video game cover. It's like you have four corners, almost like 33 on one side, a reverse 33 on the other side. You can make an X down the middle and a crown. And it's Paradox Gaming. I mean, it's like, of course. It's weird. I'm sure there's a whole rabbit hole we could go down here.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, man. Well, I actually have to hit the head pretty seriously. Do you want to do any screen sharing and bring anything up while I go to the?
I mean, while you do that, I could honestly just look at this game really fast if people want to see it.
Yeah.
Because some people might see something that I don't. I don't know why this would be at 1800s.
Okay.
It bothers me. It shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So go ahead and I'll bring this up.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me do that before you go.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I got to give you the permission.
Share screen. There we go. Share.
There we go. Be right back.
So this is the game that was under 1836. I'm guessing because the whole timeline starts. Are people hearing me echo right now? That was bizarre. Just heard a whisper in my ear of the exact thing I just said. But so yeah, you see the 33 reversed, the X. I'm kind of more interested in this group. But this is a different page. Hold on. Let's go back. There we go. Is anyone familiar with these guys? Crusader Kings, Hearts of Iron, Europa Universalis. Seems like it's a bunch of strategy games. Anyone? Yeah, that was okay. So no echo. That's bizarre because I heard myself whispering in my ear and I thought it was an echo. I guess just a weird glitch. Yeah, no, this shouldn't be on 1836 page. I have no idea what this symbol is. Yeah, no, this shouldn't be on 1836. No, I am echoing. Okay. I'm coming through the mic on Gabe's side. That's why.
That might be me.
I was echoing, so I was like, "That's so weird." Am I echoing? Because I heard one thing I said, and it was like a whisper of what I just said in my ear, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
That was me pulling an inadvertent practical joke on you because I walked away with the phone on. That's so funny. My bad, y'all.
So yeah, this is the studio. A weird little chimera on this Paradox Interactive that I'm sure has intelligence ties because they're in Stockholm, Sweden.
Oh yeah, and that looks like a map right there. It probably is a map.
It's weird, yeah. It's like in the form of almost like a gear, a fossil, and a map, like you're saying.
Totally, yeah.
This was the game that they had from that year, which I was like, oh, there's a 33, there's a 33, there's an X, I'm sure here's the four corners.
Yeah, I'm seeing some Hierophant card, maybe World card.
Yeah, just odd that was on that page, the 1836 page. I mean, I don't think it's worth looking into too much. We could probably go down it forever because I'm sure, like I said, they have ties. Well, that's interesting. They definitely have ties to, I'm sure, the military and industrial complex, as
Yeah.
most of these gaming companies do.
Yeah, big love to Deserta out there. Deserta left a comment in our last live stream that we did about game theory and how. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm going to read Deserta's comment because it was a really good comment. He was talking about how if they can generate a reasonable threat, the idea of a reasonable threat. I want to just read this comment from Deserta. A credible threat game theory. In game theory, a credible threat is one that a player is willing to carry out regardless of the other player's choice. And this is true in chess, that it's more valuable to threaten than it is to actually attack. To put yourself in a position to attack is way more valuable because you don't have to spend the move of actually attacking. So it's actually more beneficial to be kind of like the nuclear narrative. They've got everybody in checkmate because all they got to do is press a button. The emperor is holding a baton, and all he's got to do is press the button. And so then he says, to be effective, threats must be credible. And this is why I am always talking about they are prejudicing our discernment. And if your discernment believes that it can be done, if you saw it in the movies, then it becomes more credible. You're more likely to believe their bluff later on when they use what was inseminated through film. A threat is credible if it is rational. That's basically targeting scientific optimism at large, because scientific optimism is rational dependent, like a drug. Nietzsche hated that. Nietzsche had a little Socrates on his shoulder all through his life, and he thinks of the Socrates on his shoulder as the devil. That was the devil on his left hand side, right? Socrates was Nietzsche's devil, because rationalism was leading to nihilism, really. Through the Christian path, he believed that rationalism through the Christians was going to lead to nihilism.
I think we've seen it. I mean, it becomes like a Gnosticism where you're on a prison planet and got to get off it. Yeah.
Yep. Sacrifice a clock to Asclepius. A threat is credible if it is rational for the other player to believe that it will be carried out. There is a fellow who reads Fed reports, a guy named Uneducated Economist, and advises that they are using credible threat game theory, and the herd moves based upon threats. It seems like this game theory is being used in many different subject areas, such as the lockdown. So I think he's spot on. And the CIA has said in the past that they want to instill the mother's worries into the masculine. So all the things that mothers are like all worried about, making everything extremely prim and proper, making the home. The man makes the house, the woman makes the home. So all those little nitpicky details, the divine feminine is glorious at. They just need the men to think the same way. And if the men are tiptoeing through the tulips and walking on eggshells all the time, more like the worries of the mother, then the CIA has us in lockdown. And we believe that a sneeze from China should lock down the whole planet, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like this is even part of what they call deterrence theory, because that's what I'm looking at deterrence theorists, deterrence theories wiki, and it's talking about game theory, and there are I guess a group of deterrence theorists who say they believe their threats of deterrence need to be credible for it actually to work better than just a regular sort of game theory.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that's what they're doing. I mean, you're right. He was right. Whoever commented that.
Yeah, and the more I come to question rationalism, much like Nietzsche, the more I kind of look at the what are they called, the not chaos magicians, but Rob Dobbs. What are they called? The pranksters, the something pranksters. Zarelath knows it. But they were into chaos, just creating unreasonableness as a form of progress because everybody's stuck in the same lane of being reasonable.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and now I can't think of the name of them either.
Yeah, I can't either, but I know that their patron saint, this guy Rob Dobbs or Bob Dobbs, he has a magical handshake is kind of one of his superpowers, and everybody that he shakes hands with somehow is overwhelmed with the urge to succumb to his will. He has this magical handshake that whoever he shakes hands with, they're like, okay, yeah, this guy's on the up and up. I'll just go along to believe him. This is Donald Trump. This is the art of the deal. He's totally got the magical handshake of Bob Dobbs.
This isn't they're not the merry pranksters, are they?
I think they're related. Yeah, I think this is where the merry pranksters come through. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, old Donald Trump, the art of the deal and the magical handshake goes back to these merry pranksters for sure.
He has to. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
What
Yep.
the dude?
Big
Oh my God, there's so much even in this merry prankster thing that can go. It goes right back to like the Charlie's Angels, Manson family type of idea. Oh, what? They're
Yeah.
all taking LSD. This is the psychedelics. What? I haven't got too into them. That's crazy.
Yeah. Big love, Lucy Rose up. Much respect, Benjamin D. Let's see. Hold on.
There's an interesting thing here. It says on the deterrence theory page, it says, summarizing Schelling's reorientation of game theory, you're standing at the edge of a cliff, chained by the ankle to someone else. You'll be released, and one of you will get a large prize as soon as the other gives in. How do you persuade the other guy to give in when the only method at your disposal is threatening to push him off the cliff would doom you both? Answer, you start dancing closer and closer to the edge. That way you don't have to convince him that you would do something totally irrational, plunge him and yourself off the cliff. You just have to convince him that you're prepared to take a higher risk than he is of accidentally falling off the cliff. If you can do that, you win.
Dude, so many things all at once. The Catcher in the Rye. That's his vision of he's going to catch the kids that are going to go off the cliff like Legion. And it's also my favorite. I mean, this is such a great joke, and everybody's heard it. It's been around for almost 30 plus years. The joke of like a man goes to a high-rise bar and he's getting drunk, and there's a guy next to him who's like, "Hey, man, you want to see a real nifty trick up here? You never been to my bar? Come here, let me show you." And he goes over to the window, and he leans out the window, and he goes almost horizontal, and then he comes back up, and he's like, "Isn't that cool? You try it, man." And then the guy's like, "Okay," and he leans out and falls out the window, and the bartender's like, "Superman, you're a real asshole."
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. Dude. Oh, I mean, that's... Whew.
Dude, I have a few jokes from my childhood that I have forgotten, and I don't want to present them wrong. You know, you just can't do a joke if you don't know the joke. But I want to find somebody who remembers these jokes because they're some of the greatest jokes ever. They were so unique. And I've actually considered like I should actually reach out to some of the comedians out there, you know, and so many people just don't tell jokes anymore. You know, we're funny on the fly, impromptu. But back when I was a kid, these jokes they were artifacts of high technology, some of the old jokes.
Who the hell is I went to see a comedian not too long ago with Maggie, my girlfriend, and he's one of these comedians that does like almost like one-liner jokes, but he's funny, and he's a British guy. I can't remember his name right now. I wish she wasn't wearing her headphones. I'd ask her what the hell his name was again. But he just wrote a book, I think, about like trying to help people write better just singular jokes like that,
Yeah,
like you're
yeah,
talking about.
totally. I wonder if he would know that some of the ones that I'm looking for, because these are, it's kind
He
of a
would
lost art.
have to, because he was even like, he's like, he realizes he's not like other comedians nowadays where they have these callbacks and everything like that. He just tells like jokes. He was like a normal guy, wanted to be a comedian, and he was actually funny, but he tells singular just jokes one after another that all have a punchline, a
Yeah,
beginning and end, and he likes that like clinical sort of outline of the joke.
yeah,
So
man.
I thought that was interesting.
Okay, maybe after the show, I'll like run the rough outline of the joke I'm looking for, and you can bounce it off of him.
Well,
Because
I don't know him.
okay,
Yeah, no,
okay.
this dude was on like Rogan and stuff. He's like a big time
Oh,
starts with a C. Carl, blah blah blah. Damn it, I had it for a second.
it's okay. If you find his name, maybe I can track him down and bounce it off of him.
Let me see. Maggie, who's the comedian who we saw with the who wears the suit, the British guy?
Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr. There you go.
Okay, all right.
There you go.
My scavenger hunt is on.
Thank you.
Yeah, big love, Maggie. Thank you for that.
Yeah, everyone says thank you. Big love. She says everyone is welcome. But yeah, Jimmy Carr does like he's just like joke after joke. He even explains it, I think I saw a little
Curious why you're talking about Jimmy Carr, but
because of how he does his stand-up routine. How it's like a joke. He's like very
he
like
just does puns.
yeah, very like clinically like written jokes where
He
there's
just
like
does puns. He just does.
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I still don't understand how it comes in.
it just can't. Yeah, I'll tell you later. Okay.
It's interesting to think of jokes as having a genres. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that there's a whole techne to the comedians.
Oh yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, it's not spoken about much, but you can see it.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right,
Was there
buddy.
anything else we missed? I don't think so.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. This was a splendid deposit on the slick dissidence floor. I'm so feeling it. This was really fun.
Yeah, no, and we have to cap ourselves at 2 hours and be good because that's enough time.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, and hit us up in the comments if anybody has any ideas that this stirs up in them. That's kind of what I'm into. I really love my comments, and I'm going to start reading the comments back on the show more, like what Deserta dropped there. I really just want to bring all the people into the process. And also I need to be better about mentioning slickdissident.com. Come get your t-shirts and your hoodies and your zippos and your onesies and your tarot cards. And I'm working on a project with the Territories tapestry. That is going to be so awesome, but I got to get the pixelation perfect so that it's, a nice, clean, crisp image. That one. And yeah, that one's going to be kind of a master project from yours truly to the world. So yeah, come check us out, folks. Big love and respect. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to taking this forward in future shows. You got any plans to be on anybody's channel anytime soon?
Right now, no, man. Only because I know I have to do something with them. I think me and Emily are going to be starting up something again. Whether it's, I don't know if it's going to be the periodic table or something different. I have to talk to her next week and see. Unless maybe we'll be taking a break. I'm not really sure. And then just whatever we do weekly. I do the show with Franklin usually on Tuesday nights.
Yeah,
I should be doing that. I didn't do it with him last Tuesday because of work, and this Tuesday I'm going to try to. I have to edit like 10 videos by Tuesday. So if we do it, it'll be Tuesday, 11 Pacific. Yeah, 11 Pacific. So it's pretty late.
All right.
But y'all could always catch it later after it airs. I put it on my channel. He puts it on his. Just a live stream. We just talk about a bunch of the same fun esoteric stuff that we all enjoy.
Yeah, man, big time. Big love to Franklin out there.
And
Much
to that
love to the
person who
round.
asked, I'm gonna work on editing that one video me and you did way long ago. The one I recorded. Yeah, I'll try to get that edited together for the person who asked at the beginning of the show.
Whoa, dude,
And I have one with you and one with Franklin that I never put together because I was like, oh, I'm going to start putting some up. And I want to do that still. It's
Okay.
just I need to get these other videos that I'm doing for work off my plate. And then I could start thinking about my own sort of channel on the
Yeah,
side.
buddy. Yeah, that'll be an awesome time capsule.
But
you
there's
know?
definitely stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see. I can't even remember what we were talking about. So I'm excited to see now.
It was everything. We talked about everything.
Yeah. But
All
good show.
right.
I had a good time.
Yeah, man. Big love and respect to the Slick Dissa Dance Party. We'll catch you on the flip flop, y'all.
Thanks, guys.